An educated pediatrician has been accused of murdering her own child. On June 27, 2025, Dr. Neha Gupta found herself at the center of a horrific investigation after her 4-year-old daughter, Arya Talathi, was found dead in the family's rented Florida vacation home. It all began on June 25th when Dr. Gupta and her daughter Arya traveled from Oklahoma to Miami for what should have been a relaxing beach getaway. They checked into a rental house in El Portal, Florida, and spent the evening riding jet skis. Around 9 p.m., Gupta allegedly woke Arya up to feed her dinner, and after a long day of activity, the toddler fell asleep beside her mother by 12:30 a.m. But just a few hours later, at around 3:20 a.m., Gupta claims she was awakened by a strange noise. She found Arya missing from the bed, the sliding glass door open, and the toddler submerged in the pool. Gupta says she couldn't swim, and thus, she struggled to get Arya out of the water. After an agonizing 10 minutes of attempts at rescuing the girl and resuscitating her, she called 911. Arya was rushed to the hospital but was pronounced dead at 4:28 a.m. At first glance, it seemed like a tragic accident, but the autopsy report would soon tell a different story. Upon examining Arya's body, medical examiners discovered something chilling. The girl's lungs and stomach contained no water. Drowning, it seemed, could be ruled out as the cause of death. What followed was even more alarming. The pathologist found cuts inside Arya's mouth and bruising on her cheeks. These injuries weren't consistent with a drowning, nor were they the result of any life-saving attempts made by first responders. In fact, the autopsy findings contradicted Gupta's claims about CPR efforts. The bruising on Arya's face, particularly inside her mouth, suggested smothering or asphyxiation by force rather than accidental drowning. Additionally, there was a complete absence of any physical injuries that would be consistent with CPR or resuscitative efforts. In standard CPR attempts, it is not uncommon to find broken ribs or bruising near the chest area. However, in Arya's case, there were none. The lack of such typical signs of resuscitation confirmed that she was likely dead before she was even placed in the pool. This grim discovery led medical examiners to conclude that Arya's cause of death was likely asphyxiation, and her body had been moved to the pool after the fact. There were several additional key pieces of evidence that raised alarms about Gupta's actions and timeline. First, the fact that Gupta waited 10 minutes to call for help is highly suspicious. If a mother finds her child unconscious in a pool, the instinct would be to act immediately. Even if she couldn't swim, there are still life-saving measures like calling 911 that could be taken. The fact that Gupta chose to wait, despite her medical background, doesn't add up. Second, the empty stomach. Gupta had claimed she fed Arya dinner at 9 p.m., but the child's stomach was completely empty, pointing to the possibility that Arya had never eaten that evening. Why would Gupta make that detail up unless to cover for something? Then there's the question of the sliding door. Gupta says she locked it before bed, but she also claims Arya somehow managed to open it and slip outside. Was it possible for a 4-year-old to do that? Some experts say yes, while others find it highly unlikely, especially when factoring in Gupta's own testimony about how easy it was to open the door with just a finger. These inconsistencies, paired with the troubling autopsy results, suggested one thing: Gupta had staged the scene. But why? Gupta's personal life was a mess. She was locked in a bitter custody battle with her ex-husband, Dr. Saurabh Talathi, after their divorce in 2024. According to reports, he was unaware that Gupta had taken their daughter to Florida, and their custody proceedings had been contentious. Court documents reveal a complicated history. Gupta had accused her ex-husband of domestic abuse, though the court didn't support her claims. The couple had clashed over almost everything, from Arya's daycare to what medical treatment she should receive. This bitter struggle over custody appears to have spilled over into this tragic event. Gupta had even been ordered to undergo a psychological evaluation, something she had resisted. Is it possible that the custody battle, coupled with mounting personal and professional stress, pushed Gupta to snap? Did she see no way out but to silence her daughter, perhaps as a last-ditch effort to regain control of her life? Gupta's arrest on suspicion of first-degree murder came just days after her daughter's death. Her lawyer, Richard Cooper, has vehemently denied the charges, claiming that the police rushed to judgment and that Gupta was simply a grieving mother. He suggested that there were holes in the investigation, especially given the rushed nature of the autopsy. "We look forward to more evidence," Cooper said. "Evidence that the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office could not possibly have obtained in the 24-hour investigation that they completed. But the autopsy's preliminary findings seem clear. This was no accident. The bruising, the lack of water in the lungs, the strange timeline all point to a premeditated act. Gupta's defense team is pushing for a second autopsy, but given the compelling evidence, it's hard to see how the results could change. As the investigation continues, more and more questions arise. Why did Gupta wait so long to call 911? Why didn't she secure the sliding door? And perhaps most chilling of all, what motivated a woman woman who spent her life caring for children to harm her own. As of now, Gupta faces a first-degree murder charge, but her defense team remains adamant that she is innocent. The case is far from over, and the truth may not be as clear-cut as it seems.